To meet our commitment to that effort, I am today announcing a combination of measures unprecedented for a government of this nation. Today, I can announce that for the first time in our history, the government is going to step in and help to pay people's wages. We're setting up a new coronavirus job retention scheme. Our planned economic response will be one of the most comprehensive in the world.
My name is Gabs, and I'm a beer guy based in London, and I go to pubs a lot. Pubs are facing their worst ever crisis since March 2020, when lockdown forced closure. In this show, we will offer a unique insight on London pubs, trying to understand how much this culture is at risk. We will ask the masterminds behind the capital's beer industry how they are turning the tide for the future of this British heritage. The pub is a serious thing. In this episode, we will be talking with the management of some iconic pubs in the north of London and the founder of Pellicle magazine, Matthew Curtis. Pubs are now open with many difficulties to stay afloat. Breweries are facing their own crisis and customers are developing a different drinking habit. Is this the death of the British boozer as we know it? We will find out. Formerly known by many different names, most famous was the Wellington Arms, listed between 1833 and 1834. It became the Railway Tavern, which is now called the Lochtaven. It is a legendary Camden pub brought to you by the East London Pub Co. This historic boozer is something of an institution in North London. The pub is an incredibly versatile place, hosting great lunches, private parties, weekly pub quizzes and Sunday roasts. Do you remember when live music used to be a thing? The Lochtaven had early shows from Amy Winehouse, Adele and Florence Welch, while more recently welcoming Run the Jewels and Kamasi Washington to its humble stage. The outdoor seating area makes it a good spot even in these unusual times. What makes it amazing is the staff. The team that worked there were happy to share with us their lockdown experience.
15 weeks was really emotional to begin with because it just happened all of a sudden and we had a real, fizzled out really quickly, so it came as a shock. At first everyone was like, what's going on, what's happening, and then all of a sudden overnight we just had all the team over and went to say, right, you have to go home. So it was really scary, and now, well, to be honest, we've got a great network, so we've been contacting each other a lot, but it's been like a stressful period for a lot of people.
Like, you received the news that you had to shout on the 19th of March, but since the 16th of March, Boris Johnson said, and he was basically asking people to don't go to the pub, so, you know.
No, we had a real drop of business, and it was like a real eerie atmosphere of who's coming in if we're going to stay open. So it was a real shock because we were just coming out of the best week ever of our business, actually.
What was your first impression for it? We need to crack on, probably, right?
No, we need to crack on, but cracking on, there's two big differences with that. So the main message is that how do we enforce it responsibly? We've gone through so many different checklists and preparations. I mean, I've been in the building for the last 3 weeks just dealing with how we may operate, and when he's given the guideline, the government given the guideline, it's their guidelines. It's still quite vague, but the main thing for us is acting responsible, numbers in, marking out where you can and cannot go. I mean, you can't blast the music and have like a rave in there or dance too much, you know. So we just want to be responsible and let everybody have their fun that they've been waiting for, and be like, let's move on, let's let somebody else have their fun.
Adding all of these extra, I would say, difficulties or tricky, you know, like new concepts could potentially like create another level of crisis within our sector that already, you know, perceived some difficulties in these recent years. Do you see there like a risk for pub, like getting too complicated to working in a pub?
Massively. You're only looking at half your revenue due to capacity sizing. And then you're looking at an external industry like the music industry that's been given no support from the government, artists, that can be creative, people that don't have any other backbone. So you're now relying on a backhand industry which are now desperate and that can't even hold on and that don't have the structure to then coerce with pubs, restaurants, hotels, whatever. So it's very risky. I mean, we used to have gigs up here all the time. We used to have like hip hop nights. We used to have everything in this venue. And to just be a restaurant or a takeaway business or just beers and wine at a quiet level, it takes the magic out of what the venue is sometimes.
Can you really avoid public, relationships with people, meeting your friends, having fun out? I don't really think you can, right?
No. I mean, no matter what country you go to in the world, there's always one thing that the Brits do best, it's pub culture. And everyone's welcome in a pub. Doesn't matter how rich you are, how poor you are, what you're wearing. You can be sat next to the richest man in the world, you're still going to be ordering the same pint of Guinness. So that's it for me.
To answer all these questions and doubts about the future of the beer and pub industry, we've reached out to the founder of Pellicle magazine, Matthew Curtis. Matthew Curtis is an award-winning beer writer, photographer and a member of the British Guild of Beer Writers. He's also the co-founder of Pellicle magazine. Pellicle explores beer, wine, cider, food and travel. Created by Matt alongside brewer and wine enthusiast Johnny Hamilton, Pellicle is a magazine that aims to capture the joie de vivre we so often find within our favorite cultures. His journalistic background could give us an insight into the future of the UK beer industry during these unprecedented times. What it does represent pub culture for you?
Do you know what? I've had a lot of time to think about this this year, because what lockdown has brought into perspective is how that affected my mental state, my well-being, and how if you go to the pub, even if it's by yourself, have a pint, read a book, meet a couple of friends, maybe you bump into someone, maybe you have a bigger social occasion, whatever that is, you wake up the next day and that gives you something. And it took me this year demonstrated how important that social interaction and how important spaces like pubs are, because it gives you that sense of living rather than just existing. And pubs are this cultural hub, and the best pubs for me are the ones that combine the great experience, which is down to great hospitality. It's down to the people behind the bar working there to make you feel welcome. You know, perspective is huge, and I hope that after the pandemic, people will remember what it was like to have something important taken away. I certainly will strive to remember and always consider that when I enjoy my pints in the future.
The Salisbury is a Grade 2 listed pub on Grand Parade in Haringey. Built in 1899, the original features alone justify a visit. From the large Victorian bar with a French Renaissance architectural style to the beautifully stained glass skylight, this is a well-kept ode to yesteryear, and for this reason it has been the location for several films like The Long Good Friday, Chaplin and Spider. At the centre of the Green Lanes community, it's part of the small, remarkable pubs group, who run their outlets at a consistently high standard. I met David, the GM, years ago. He is a real Welsh gentleman, a born leader, pure charisma for the customers, and an incredible beer enthusiast. They are selling a unique selection of world and continental beers, real ales and local craft brews. Every good brewery I know made an appearance here at least once, making it a special beer destination.
What was shocking is the indelible right for British people to go in the pub was violated for the first time in history, apparently, and we don't even know for how long that could have, be in place.
I suppose it's a bit of a shock. I think it had to be done, but I think it was a bit of a shock. I don't think no one realised it was going to be so long.
Yeah.
I mean, we obviously looked at Italy and Spain and places like this, but no one knew how long the shutdown was going to be.
Yeah.
So it was a bit of a shock to the system.
Why someone should, I don't want to say take the risk, but take the opportunity to go to a pub again, if not Saturday, in the following days, following weeks. Why is that in your opinion?
It's part of British culture. I mean, everyone likes a beer in a pub, and I'm sure people have enjoyed drinking at home and they've tried various wines and beers, but I don't think it's the same. Nice cold beer out of the tap, especially Guinness drinkers.
Oh yeah.
They've definitely missed the pint of Guinness.
Let's go back to Matthew with some more questions.
How do you see the pub culture changing and how these changes are looking in your eyes?
Pub culture has been changing for a long time in the UK, most notably because there's been a lot of pub closures over the past 20, 30 years. 25% of pubs have closed. It's about 20,000 pubs, I think. That's just off the top of my head, it might not be accurate.
Sure.
But at one point, 29 pubs were closing every week in the UK, and that was because the pub culture was changing. That was changing because beer was getting cheaper in supermarkets, more people drink at home. Even before the pandemic, more people were starting to drink at home.
Yeah.
And people were drinking less, people were being more healthy. So people were choosing to go and have 2 nice pints of craft beer instead of 8 pints of whatever. Not that there's anything wrong with either of these things, but the general culture is changing. There will always be the kind of pubs you go to where you stand at the bar, and I don't think they'll go away, but I think more and more pubs will adopt. Once the pandemic is over, they will have the systems in place to offer table service. The apps are not going to go away. Some pubs will go, well, actually, this is a much better system. We can just get orders, take them to the table. But yeah, that's the way it's going. It's going to a more slower pace, and things like table service will be introduced as a more normal thing, I think.
Is this the fast-moving, adaptation that we're looking for our pubs to manage to keep them alive? And do you think there's going to be more, fast-moving changes going forward in the next months until Easter will come?
I think the most important thing now is the vaccine.
Okay.
Because it's great to see pubs pivoting. That's the word, one of the words of the year, isn't it? Pivoting to things like takeaway and running as bottle shops, to selling beer in milk cartons. Who would have thought that people would be coveting really expensive double IPAs in a plastic bottle? But there you go, that's 2020.
The Shaftsbury Tavern on Hornsey Road is a local gem, which is located between Crouch Hill and Upper Holloway. Founded in the mid-19th century and rebuilt in 1897, this beautifully restored boozer is another remarkable pub's group success. The pub celebrates a heritage that reflects the diverse area it serves. Beautiful glass decorations, an incredible marble-floored backroom, and top Thai food make it a destination for North Londoners. Dan and the team make it a friendly, relaxed space that is well loved by locals and newcomers alike. They proudly choose their favourite range of beers with a variety of London brews. As we were waiting to sip one of those and catching some rays on the beautiful terrace, I met Dan for a chat and heard what he had to say.
Are you scared about people's habits to drink at home and avoid pubs, or you don't think, or you think they're gonna get away with that?
I mean, obviously that will be there for some people, but I think pubs are more than just about a place to buy beer. They're about a community, and I think what pubs offer to their community is something that you can't replicate at home. I've had many a drinking session on Zoom, and it's not the same. It's not the same. It doesn't feel the same. So I think they'll come back. I think people will come back, but I think it will be a slow process. It's not going to be straight away.
And like we've been in East London quite a bit, so we managed to chat with like Brewdog in Dalston and the Lochtaven in Camden. Honestly, your bar and the role of your bar is slightly different, because we can see that you're more like a community bar.
Yeah, of course.
And the fact that you are in between some very, very busy areas, and it makes it feel like that if you are living around here, this is your place.
Yeah, I mean,
you want to share time here.
We are a local, we're a community venue, so for us to be able to serve the members of our community is really important. Like, And yes, it's going to feel different when you come in, but hopefully the kind of essence of the Shaftsbury and what we do will still be here, you know.
If you will be able to see a future for British pubs, British beer, craft beer, wherever you want to say it, do you see it bright? Do you see straight away brilliant? Do you think we have to do more to make sure everything's going to come back to normality or go to the new normality?
I mean, I think it depends on the progress of the virus. It depends, you know, a lot of it is factors not within our control. You know, we can work within the guidelines, but if there's a second spike, obviously that's going to be very damaging, much more damaging than this first one, I would have thought. I'm quietly optimistic that we will be able to, you know, go through like this for a while, and hopefully, you know, as the health situation improves, we can get back to a bit more sense of normality. You know, what we're trying to do with our experience here is to be not too far away from what was before, just made safer, made COVID secure, you know.
Is everyone within the industry as wishful as Dan? Matt has something to say.
There are players out there, and government could be one of them, which seems to make decisions. Now, are they really in charge? And what they do does really make the difference that for the industry that we love, or just for a part of it?
I think I haven't got many kind words to say about the current government. I think if you compare the support, I mean, when they did Eat Out to Help Out, that was, you know, some pubs were putting the Chancellor, Rishi Sunak's face on like their offers.
Yeah.
But if you compare that offer to what they were doing in France and in Belgium, it was a pittance. It was the bare minimum. And some places, you know, this £1,000 handout, that's nothing. A lot of the sort of conservative backbenchers are also against the government's plans and this impingement of freedoms, not being able to go out. I don't agree with them entirely, but I do agree that the support for hospitality is inadequate. I mean, the tier system, if you compare the way pubs are being treated, like 2,000 people can go to a football match, you know, but 30 people can't go to a pub where you have to sanitize, wear a mask, keep 2 meter distance, the tables are all marked, it's table service. So literally hospitality has had to go the furthest to provide a safe environment, and then is treated with the most scrutiny. It's been used as an example, and this government has, I genuinely feel they've scapegoated the industry to satisfy a media that is hungry for, and a public that's hungry for action.
Yeah.
But they have, instead of arbitrarily putting out restrictions to everyone, they've just focused on one area, because that's an easy way for them to say we've ticked this box, because that's how they operate, because it's easier for them. We're going to need a national holiday for us all to get over it, a national week off.
I know. Yeah, that'd be great, actually.
If you walk north on Stroud Green Road from Finsbury Park, located just across the street from Crouch Hill Station, you will find a building that is the Brave Sir Robin. The building was a post office and a grocery shop in the 1930s. It finally became a pub in 1983 and was known as Marler's Bar. Since then, it has gone by numerous names, including Hopsmith's when it was run by the now closed London brewery Late Nights. It was reopened as Brave Sir Robin in early December 2017 from the team that runs the Rose and Crown in Kentish Town. The name of the pub comes from the film Monty Python and the Holy Grail. The Brave Sir Robin is an independent craft beer pub, made cozy by soft lighting and candles, with a mix of seating from booths to sofas. The bar offers 19 beer taps in rotation, from the most contemporary beers to more traditional cask ales. Looking for good food? Cockfighter and Good Burger are the kings of the kitchen. The North London branch of the Campaign for Real Ale gifted the pub with the title Cider Pub of the Year 2020. Brave Sir Robin has gone from strength to strength since it was taken on by Carews, an emergent pub company. Chris, one of the owners, is a delight to speak with. He is honest, realistic and super fun.
Do you remember like the first impression that you had 15 weeks ago when you realized there was something that it could potentially become disruptive for running your business?
I'm someone who pays quite a lot of attention to health issues because I'm a little bit health paranoid anyway. I think my birthday was, well, my birthday's 1st of February,
Wow.
and it was the day after my birthday that I heard the first thing that made me think this might be a little bit more than your standard thing that you hear about, you know, there's a pandemic due, and you know, with swine flu and whatever like that, you always, yeah. But this one, it was around that time that it was kind of apparent that, you know, something a little bit more was going to happen.
Yeah.
I think it was just, you know, a reality that, you know, if such a thing does happen as a lockdown, we're going to lose a lot of money.
100%.
And you know, it's sort of you know, your mind turns from sort of growing a business and, you know, that you've sort of like nourished over sort of like 6 years to something that's just like, you know, what do I need to get? What do I need to, you know, what money do I need to borrow to survive, to get me through this?
You're totally independent in the way that it's you and you co.
Yeah. There's three of us. You know, we put our all into the first business. We borrowed a little cash for the second business. We definitely don't have particularly deep pockets. You know, there's three people who saved up their cash to get a business.
Yeah.
So yeah, we don't really have any support. There was, you know, the government gave support with the business rates sort of payback, where, you know, it was sort of between 10 and 25 grand loan they put in your bank, a grant rather. And obviously the staff get to go on furlough, which kind of saved us that and means we can retain our staff. And then we had to, you know, we borrowed some cash for like a coronavirus bounce back loan. You know, hopefully we won't use that all sort of surviving, and hopefully we can do a little something else with it. But yeah, we're getting no help from the landlord with this place for sure. So, you know, we're still paying full rent. Instinctively need to find something to get some cash going through. I mean, you know, it was only going to be a fraction of what we usually sort of take.
Yeah.
But I think anything going into the bank just to make us feel as though we were sort of like doing whatever we can to survive at the same time as sort of securing whatever. Yeah, I just think it was instinct, man.
Back to Matthew with some final opinions.
We can support pubs, and we said to go to the pub, to consume drinks in the pub. But should we talk about pubs with our friends? Shall we suggest the best places around? What we could really do to support the scene, Matt?
I think you answered your question in the question, like, the best way to support pubs is to go to the pub, to remember they're out there and to visit them regularly and support them, especially the ones that are small, local, independent businesses. And there are plenty of these out there, because you're not just supporting the pub when you're in there, you're supporting the people who are hired to work there. That's, you know, the hospitality industry. It's a £1 billion industry, employs well over 1 million people.
Yeah.
And you know, this is something that's changing. I think what needed to change in the UK is the attitude towards hospitality, because so many people consider it like, when have you heard the phrase, when are you going to get a real job? You know? And it's like, that's a ridiculous thing to say, because
I keep receiving that.
Hospitality is a noble profession. And it's a valuable career with a path and a route to grow and do really well for yourself. Something that needs to change is people's attitude towards the people working in these places.
Yeah.
And that includes when you go into these pubs. If someone has spent all evening running drinks and food to your table, and when things are more normal, they will probably have a conversation with you.
Yeah.
How did your day go? What was that drink like? Oh, have you tried this? I love this. And that's all part of it. And then that person deserves a tip. The answer is simple. It's about getting out there and supporting these pubs. When you feel safe, like, that's also something that's really important, is COVID's not going to go away. People will still need to wear masks, sanitize, keep doing that. Keep wearing those masks, because you're protecting the people that work there and the people around you.
Do you think there is something that we should show in terms of specific people or specific side of this industry, and to make the document relevant for the time being for as many people as possible?
Yeah, and it's something I've learned as a writer, because as a writer I've almost exclusively focused on the people, the leaders, so the owners of breweries, the owners of bars, these are the people who've got to the tops of their opinion matters. And what I have learned is that is not true. The people on the ground level, their voice is equally as significant, and they do not get given their fair share of the spotlight. Sometimes that is the responsibility of writers like me who don't make the effort to speak to them.
Yeah.
Sometimes it is the responsibility of the leaders. I don't really like that term. Everyone, it's all about the variety of voices, because when people say hospitality, you might think someone standing behind a bar serving a pint. No, there's so many roles in this industry. I mean, with in a way, covering it as media, we are yet another role. And also, when it comes to diversity, we're talking about the fair share of women, black, brown people, LGBTQ plus people, just getting everyone's voice in there, and ensuring that the message is that hospitality is welcoming, and that everyone is being listened to, and which involves decentralizing ourselves from the discussion a lot and going, we'll put you here, please tell us how you feel, tell us what you think, asking the same questions. So it's important in my work, as it is your own.
Thank you for watching Turning the Tide, a What's in the Glass production. Don't forget to subscribe. If you have any questions, email us at whatsintheglassuk@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you. See you down the pub!